Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Next story. I'm not adjusting the crop for the title because the crop's good for the actual article, but a Bible camp staffer performed a useless exorcism on an injured child. Now, this actually kind of hurts me because I have a confession. I sent Lily to a Christian summer camp this year. It was an overnight camp. And basically the reason I did it is because they're bloody cheap when compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Because it was like $400 for the week, whereas any other overnight camp was like $2,000 for the week.
Yeah.
And it's a camp I went to as a kid, so if it's anything like when I was a kid, it actually is quite fun, and the religious stuff is kept somewhat to a minimum. And also from, like, if you listen to the Bible through a child's eyes, my podcast, link in the description at links.vicerhino.com, I'll have a link to that at. She's not going to fall into the religious trap at all. Like, she's in no danger of that. So I'm not really worried about her coming home a Christian all of a sudden. But stuff like this concerns me because probably the reason they're so cheap is because they don't need to worry about having like licensed people there.
Like, well, it's never like, I'm not afraid of like Xander becoming Christian or anything like that. But I mean, I would be a little timid about sending him to some kind of like Christian camp or something like that, just because I know how mean kids can get, how mean adults can get, especially when you have somebody that doesn't believe the same as they do.
Oh, she just played along the whole week, and
that's good.
Like when they they had like a written assignment at the end of the day where they had to like say things that they would thank God for and how they could grow closer with God and stuff, and she would just like make shit up for it. And I actually had to have a chat with her on after I dropped her out, as she was like playing around in the field, she like tripped and ran. Oh Jesus! I was like, sweetie, about that, like, I don't care that you said Jesus when you hurt yourself, but they might not appreciate that here. She's like, oh yeah. So yeah. And that's not one that she picked that one up on her own, probably from school. I don't know where she got that, but and it's
I gotta be honest there, Vice. Xander has come home saying different things, and I don't even know what. Like, I think one time he was like, yeah, these shoes are straight dripping, they be bussing. And I'm like, the fuck are you saying? Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Logan Fisher says that's so cute. With me giving her the talk, we're like, don't use Jesus' name in vain while you're here. Yeah, but the thing is though, like, my kids all know that they're not going to get in trouble if they swear with me. Like, I've taught them that it's not about the words that you use, it's about the intention behind the words. So like, if you stub your toe and go shit, like, yeah, whatever. It releases some endorphins and makes your toe feel better. That's fine. But they still don't swear. For ages, like, anytime they heard me swear, they'd be like, oh, you said a no word. I'm like, no, I didn't. I just swore. It's fine. Anyway, on to the article that makes me feel bad for sending my daughter to a camp. Now, to be fair, the camp that she went to is run by a much more liberal church than the camp that's talked to here. I don't think they would have hired this guy. But it's still a church. Anyway, so guy performs an exorcism. One mother whose child witnessed it said that, like, this 14-year-old kid now needs counseling because of this event. While the Christian leaders of the camp were defending it by saying it was a true spiritual experience. It's like, if child abuse is a true spiritual experience for you, you need to like examine your spirituality.
Yeah.
Logan Fisher's mom says poop, poop, and more poop. Mrs. Rhino used to say sugar. There's something. Oh yeah. So when she'd get really frustrated, she would say shitty, crappy doodles. Like it would the shit would slip out, so that she'd turn it into something cutesy to make it less, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so this kid, they came out, they found him on the ground bleeding from his nose and wriggling around in pain. And so instead of like taking him to a hospital or getting any medical treatment whatsoever, this Bible camp staffer decided to perform an exorcism. After the exorcism, he announced that he had eradicated the demons that were possessing the boy, and then started handing out his business cards to all the kids that were watching, and telling them that they had to stay in touch with him forever because only he knew how to rid them of the demon that could possibly possess all of them from this instance. So he didn't just perform an exorcism on a kid instead of getting a medical attention. He performed an exorcism on a kid and then handed out his card to other kids and said, hey, this could happen to you if you don't keep in touch with me forever.
I would be so pissed off if that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like to Xander. Like,
I'd be thinking lawsuit right there. It's like you can't try and scare my kid. Like that's psychological damage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this staffer, apparently he has a past filled with things like pornography and drug addictions. Now I don't know. Apparently this all came from self-confession on his Facebook page, so that might have been like the Christian thing, like, oh, I was addicted to porn, because he used it like once a week or something. where it's not actually an addiction. They just think that if they use it continuously, it is. So pornography addiction can be a thing that can happen. But the way you would determine that is whether or not your use of it actually interferes with your real life relationships. So I'm not going to say that he wasn't addicted to porn, but I'm also kind of skeptical of that one. But also he's working with kids at a Christian camp with a history of self-admitted porn addiction, and he's handing out their business cards telling them to keep in contact with him. Like, yeah, a lot of people who say they're addicted to porn really aren't, but these are a lot of red flags. Also, he apparently has a history of domestic violence, and he's been fired from being camp counselor before. And
shit.
and apparently the kid that he exorcised, it's unclear at this time whether he received any medical help at any point. Bunch of kids went home, or like, this was, I don't know exactly what he did from the exorcism, but I do know that like occasionally people die during exorcisms because they get violent and abusive, and the person performing the exorcism will often ignore pleas for help from the person they are exorcising, because that's the demon trying to get them to stop before it's done or whatever. So they are actually dangerous procedures that don't actually do anything. But yeah. So like we what was I going to say? So yeah, so the kids that saw this, like, I don't know how he did it, but it had to have been pretty bad for these kids to have been like, no, I need to go home now. I'm not staying for the rest of Bible Fun Camp. I want to go home.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, so I would hope that any kid that is approached by somebody that was like, hey, I know this kid just got hurt, but a demon could have escaped and inhabited your body. Here's my card. Keep me in mind for the rest of your life. I would hope that most anybody would be like, get me the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, maybe if they believe that stuff, then like, hey, there's demons hanging around here. Let me go home.
Right.
So this a lot of this information, like his journey to Jesus, which included all the details about his history, came from his Facebook page, which has now been deactivated. He was originally anonymous, but he has now been identified as Carlos Dirksen.
Okay.
And the adults that were running the Redberry Bible Camp believed that this man was trustworthy. But apparently the kids... I'm not sure. This is Hemmett meta writing. He does like to editorialize in his posts. He says the kids who watched him conduct the exorcism knew right away that he was full of shit and did their best to get the hell out of there. Like, yeah, my daughter definitely would have done something like that, but also, like, it could be if they really believe that stuff, that they're now scared of demons and want to go home where they haven't seen demons before.